Welcome to the Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and this is your one-stop shop for sports picks, politics and government chatter, and even some neighborhood restaurant reviews. Instead of going to 3 different channels, you can come here every week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. And we're here back in studio as promised. We were remote the last few weeks in parks, in a chili cook-off, in a United Synagogue of Hoboken's casino night. You name it, we were there, folks. And we had a great time, but it's great to be back in studio. And why don't we begin with our picks with Peter B segment, where we have Mr. Matt Waymire joining us again, back by popular demand. Popular demand, I'm telling you, Matt. Of course, Matt is formerly of MLB Network, NHL Network, NBC Sports, and News 12. What a resume. And now of the Pulse of Peter B.
This is at the head of the resume.
This is at the head of the resume.
Without question.
Just because it's recent, not because it's better, folks.
Your words, not mine.
So, Matt, this week started NFL free agency, as well as NFL trades, as we know, and it was busy, as we know. It was busy, busy, busy. So why don't we jump right in? Everyone seems to be talking about the Odell Beckham trade to Cleveland, right or wrong? I mean, this
sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. OBJ in a Cleveland Brown uniform. Man. You know, it's obviously the biggest surprise of the offseason so far, and you know, yes, he was one of the Giants' best players, along with Saquon Barkley. But something smells fishy, in my opinion. Something really smells fishy. I always look further than what the knee-jerk reaction is. Do you think that this was actually a good move for those New York Football Giants?
The thing is, I don't think trading him was a bad move, but so much of it is going to depend on what the Giants do next.
Right.
Are they going to go full-scale rebuild? Are they going to dump Eli? Are they going to keep him around one more year? You look at what they did before they got rid of OBJ. I mean, they let Landon Collins walk, which was a monumental blunder. Not because they let him walk per se, but because they got nothing back. Exactly. The Redskins gave him $84 million. He's on a division rival now. They started tearing down the defense in the middle of last season. They let Eli Apple go. He slotted into the Saints secondary, did a great job.
Prince of Mukamura, too, correct?
Some other guys.
Right.
But Eli Apple was one of the big pieces of that defense that they started kind of deconstructing. So, again, if this is a full-scale rebuild that the Giants are in, it's not necessarily a bad move. I think the question that people have is, why didn't this happen sooner? Why did you trade him now after you signed him to a $95 million contract? If you knew that this rebuild was coming, why give him all that money and then trade him? The timing of this and the sequence of it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. The Giants knew, we've heard reports that he'd become more problematic than that they could handle, but he's always kind of been that way. He's always been eccentric. He's always been, kind of a lone wolf. So this wasn't new to anybody in the Giants front office. Dave Gettleman knew what kind of a guy he was. So again, I don't think it's a terrible move that they traded him, but why it happened now, right, I think is what we're all trying to kind of figure out.
Especially in the prime of his career,
yeah,
right or wrong?
26, I think.
And to me, if you're going to rebuild, you probably want to rebuild around a guy who's 26 years old and has shown that he's a great player on the field, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And this all comes down to, again, those reports that whatever had happened
in the locker
room, off the field, since the season ended, had become too much for the Giants to handle, and they just didn't want to deal with the drama and the BS anymore.
And Dave Gettleman, I mean, he kind of did this down in Carolina.
Yeah,
when
he
was
did.
There. And I know Jonathan Stewart's came out on Twitter and basically was like, look, I told you, Giant fans, that this guy's not...
Josh Norman, too. I think
Josh
that's another
Norman,
guy.
that's correct. I mean, so... He's known to do this. I guess the only way we'll find out is when they start playing football in September, correct?
Yeah, and I think again, it's all gonna, how we look at this is gonna depend on what the Giants do next. If they completely tear this thing down, then you can say, okay, now I kind of get it. But if they're trying to go halfway, if it's kind of a half rebuild, and they're trying to half-field a competitive team, that never works. You got to go all in one way or the other. Either you're contending for a title or you're rebuilding.
Exactly.
You can't be stuck in that purgatory. That's where the Giants are right now.
And exactly. Well, why don't we stay local here?
Sure.
When we talk about those New York Football Jets, they made 2 big offensive moves this week with signing Bell in the backfield and Crowder out wide. This is like something very, very different for the New York Jets because obviously they focus on defense all the time. And Adam Gase is a more offensive-minded coach. Did Sam Darnold, of course, the young quarterback going into his second season, did he just get better without throwing a pass?
That's a good way of looking at it.
Right or wrong?
I think he did because Darnold had his ups and downs as almost any rookie does. I mean, There was a stretch where he got hurt and he missed, I believe, at least 4 games. But leading up to that foot injury, I believe it was, he wasn't playing well. He had a terrible game down in Miami against, ironically, Adam Gase. Threw 4 interceptions, then missed the next 4 or 5 weeks. But when he came back, a much different guy. I mean, I think he benefited from watching on the sidelines and watching Josh McCown, who's not going to come back. The Giants still need a backup to Darnold. So he got that experience of just watching and learning, and when he got out there for the final 3 or 4 games, he was a much better quarterback. So now, like you alluded to, you add Le'Veon Bell, you add Jamison Crowder. The Jets still don't have that bona fide number 1 wideout, like no offense to Robbie Anderson. He's good, but he's not what you consider like a Julio Jones or an Odell or somebody of that ilk. But because you've got more talent in the receiving core, it's going to open things up for Sam Darnold. It's going to spread out the defensive responsibilities more for the opposition so that you can't key in on one guy. And what made Le'Veon Bell so appealing is that he's not just a running back. He's a guy that can catch passes out of the backfield. He's one of those great, scrimmage yardage guys because he catches so many balls. So like you said, without throwing a pass, Sam Darnold has become, I think, a better QB.
Amazing. Yeah. It really is amazing. I just want to get to an overall character question.
Okay.
In the NFL especially, we're seeing players like Odell Beckham, like Le'Veon Bell, like Antonio Brown go to new teams because of dissatisfaction with their current team and getting big dollars when they go to these new teams as well. But is this really setting a precedent in the league regarding poor public attitude leading to being rewarded? Do you think that this is an overall problem? These guys are supposed to be role models to kids who are playing at the Pee Wee level, playing at the high school level, and so on and so forth. What do you think?
I'm going to say it's not a precedent because the only reason that Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown get away with this is because they have otherworldly talent.
Interesting.
Guys that don't have their talent cannot get away with this, and they understand that. But the flip side is guys like Odell, guys like Antonio Brown, they know they can cause a stir off the field on social media. They can do unauthorized interviews on ESPN, throw their teammates under the bus like Odell did, and get away with it because they have talent, which is second to none. They have world-class talent.
Right.
And that's the reason that they know that they can do all these antics and they can get away with it, and that at the end of the day, they're going to get paid. They're going to get the team they want. They're going to get their demands met. I put Le'Veon Bell in a different category because I don't think he was a discontent or a malcontent in the same thread as Odell and Antonio Brown. He's a guy that just took extreme measures to invest in himself and his career and his own body, and he went to the extreme measure of sitting out an entire year. So I group him differently. But with Odell and Antonio Brown, bottom line is they can get away with it, and they do.
They get away with it because they're so good on the field.
Because they're so good,
Absolutely.
and somebody is going to pay them, and they know it.
Well, we have a few seconds left here. Any other surprises so far in NFL free agency and trades? I know Cole Beasley has left your precious Cowboys.
That one hurt.
One surprise.
That one hurt. One surprise, I don't like teams cutting bait with running backs when they hit the magical age or unmagical age of 30. You know, as an old guy myself, I want to see us old guys succeed. I don't want to see guys cut loose just because there's a 3 in their age. Like Mark Ingram got cut loose from the Saints. I don't like it. I hope he's a big year.
But he did get a big contract,
he did.
Mark Ingram.
He did.
Well, folks, that's Matt Waymire, our sports analyst.
I'll do politics.
I was going to say, he might be here for our politics segment as well. Matt Waymire, our sports insider here on the Pulse of Peter Reed. Matt, thank you for joining us. You were fantastic as usual. Folks, when we come back, we will have a real political insider, and that's Josh Sotomayor Einstein in studio for our Politics with Peter B segment. We'll be right back, folks. Welcome back to the Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and this is our Politics with Peter B segment. Joined, as always, in studio by our political analyst, and that's Mr. Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, how are you today, my man?
Good. Beautiful day, beautiful weekend, no complaints.
That's what I like to hear. So, Josh, we have reached St. Patrick's Day here. And, as you know, many municipalities celebrate with parades of Irish culture in their cities weeks before the actual date, which of course leads up to the big Manhattan Parade this weekend. Hoboken, as we both know, used to be the city to start the season with the first parade in the States on the first Saturday in March. But in 2012, the city of Hoboken demanded that the parade committee move the parade to a weekday to curb the rowdiness of drunken revelers coming into town who were damaging property and themselves and anything else in their way, basically. The parade committee scoffed at that idea and opted to just not do the parade at all. So in the past 8 years, Hoboken has spent the first Saturday of the march wringing its hands and clutching its pearls over the shenanigans which have come to be known as Leprechaun. This year was the least rowdy year by far in the first 8 years of Leprechaun has been in existence. Do you think that it's time to bring the parade back?
So it's 100% time to bring the parade back. We need the parade. Getting rid of the parade was a stupid idea by NIMBY, not in my backyard types that just don't want anything fun that they once enjoyed to continue to exist because perhaps they've moved on in life and so they don't care about who comes after them. I personally hate the term leprechaun.
Why is that, Josh?
I think it's diminutive. I think it's discriminatory against people
Very good point.
Of smaller stature. And I think it takes the emphasis of the holiday away from a joyous community celebration of the contribution of Irish Americans to this country and Irish immigrants to this country. That doesn't mean that I didn't take part in past Hoboken St. Patrick's Day's house parties. Definitely did. Never went to a bar, not paying $20 to $25 to go into a bar on the avenue ever. All right.
And by the way, the house parties were a big part of the problem of why the city of Hoboken wanted to move it.
I will never forget my first Hoboken St. Patrick's Day. I went downstairs. It was in 2007. I went downstairs to get a bagel and lox and grabbed the New York Times because it used to be worth reading at one point. And there was a parade. I lived on Washington Street. There was a parade, and I ran upstairs, and I woke up my roommates, and I was like, "Is it St. Patrick's Day?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, come downstairs, because it is."
Because it is. It's Hoboken St. Patrick's Day, right?
And it was absolutely amazing, and it was a great time, and it was wonderful, and there, things for families out there enjoying the parade, and then people, young adults enjoying the revelry at house parties and in the bar. And the reality is that getting rid of the parade just killed the only family-friendly part of it, and kept the bar culture. The bar culture wasn't affected, and the bar owners, they're a business. They're part of our community.
Absolutely.
It's the reason that Hoboken had a reputation as a enjoyable town, so much so that it was where the main characters of Harold and Kumar actually lived in that movie. And so, there's a lot of people that came to this town knowing that it was an enjoyable town that's near Manhattan, easy to commute from, but also a place where you could have a drink and have a nice time. And then as they got older, they decided they want it to be less loud. Well, guess what? You live in an urban area. You don't live in the suburbs. If you want the suburbs, move to the suburbs. Otherwise, stop messing with something that you liked 5 to 10 years ago and pretending it's something that it's not.
It's so funny you said that. When I was on the school board, as you know, I was on the school board for 6.5 years here in Hoboken, there were people who lived in the apartments by the Hoboken High School field who consistently used to email with us saying, "Oh, the lights are too bright until 11 o'clock at night." And my instinct response was basically, look, you decided to move by a field where you knew that there was going to be activities going on. So, I mean, it shouldn't be their fault. But I do want to revisit, before we get into, other aspects going on in the community, this past year's Leprechaun. It was a cold, it was a snowy day. Could these factors have brought down the level of rowdiness for that day, you think?
100%. Weather is going to affect whether or not people show up to a bar crawl. The reality is the city can tout that, since we've been tough on the bars, as if that's a good thing, because, let's hurt businesses, because we want Washington Street to have more empty storefronts, like that's a good idea. They can pretend that it was their actions that caused a lower attendance and lower number of police-related issues during Leprechaun, but reality is that it was the weather.
Interesting. Now, do you feel if bringing the parade back is an open invitation to basically open the floodgates to debauchery again, or is it now to the point where these problems are behind us?
So the reality is that anytime you have an organized public event like that, there's going to be some partying. I object to the categorization of everyone that's enjoying in the merriment in any sort of public situation, whether it was the old Hoboken St. Patrick's Day parade or St. Anne's or New Year's. I object to the categorization of that as debauchery, because 99% of those people are just having drinks with friends.
That's a good point.
And having merriment and remembering whatever holiday that it is at that particular time. And that's a good thing. People should hang out with their friends and spend time with their family. Those are all positives for society. Obviously, there's sometimes when there's excess, and that needs to be dealt with. And that's why there's different creative solutions floating around out there. Maybe bring back the parade, but put it along Frank Sinatra. Turn Pier A into open air beer garden. That way you keep more of the drinking there, and bring in the local bar owners to have stands there, and that way you can have that sort of controlled. Or talk to the bars about paying for extra police to be on duty.
Right.
And those are all fine solutions, and that's a collaborative methodology that a number of people in civic life in town and also in the city council are discussing, and kudos to them, because the past administration, Mayor Zimmer, her reaction was like, "You want to have fun? No."
Exactly. Well, and I was just going to ask you about that, because the Ball administration has said they are willing to start communicating with the parade committee again about what is a mystery. I mean, we don't know what they're going to start communicating with the parade committee about. So could this new administration be open to bringing it back, you think?
I mean, they say so. We'll see what happens.
Well, do they really say so, though? I mean, as we know, Dawn Zimmer, it was her way, former Mayor's Dawn Zimmer, it was her way or the highway, basically, and that's what she basically told the parade committee. So the parade committee was basically like, too bad, we just won't do it. The Ball administration has seemed to be a little less strict or a little more open to the ideas of the public. I mean, I actually feel confident that they are willing to maybe bring it back. Maybe not on a Saturday, but maybe on a Sunday. Would you agree or no?
I mean, I definitely think that's something that should be on the table. I personally like it on a Saturday. Just move the location off the avenue, off Washington Street.
Right.
But I think it's important to bring it back. I mean, there's a large portion of this town's history that was where a lot of immigrants from Ireland who came over searching for a better life in America, and that's something that's important to remember and something to remind people down the generations, whether they're Irish or not. I'm 100% not Irish, and I on a personal note, I love the sound of bagpipes. So and everyone does, and if you don't, then I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly. Well, Josh is not Irish, but of course I'm going to have to say this. I was humbled this year to be named the Honorary Irish American of the Year for Hudson County, and I want to thank the St. Patrick's Day Committee, along with the Board of Chosen Freeholders and our County Executive Tom DeGeese for naming me that. I did walk in the parade last week up in Jersey City, because they still have their parade, and it was an absolute fun time. And again, thank you for that humbling award, and I appreciate it. Well, this is Josh Sotomayor Einstein. He's our political analyst every week here on the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, when we come back, we have a special guest on our Places with Peter B segment. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancavano, and this is our Places with Peter B segment. And we're joined in studio by a new face, and I am so excited. I know she is as well. Heck, everybody in the studio is excited because we have the lovely Krista Stucchio here of kstucchio.com, and also the Insta handle, which I'm sure will be appearing very, very soon at the bottom of your screens, at #foodpick. And like I said, she is making her debut. How are you today, Krista?
I am great. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Are you kidding me? I've been looking through your Insta. I've been looking on your website, and the food is mouth-watering, drooling. I mean, I'm spinning all over the place. It's kind of disgusting. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're not the first to say it.
There you go. I like, confidence too, folks. Confidence too. I like that. So, today we are going to be talking about the Elysian Cafe, and I'm excited about this. As everybody knows, my Rana is our usual food person here on the show. She unfortunately couldn't make it this week. Mai, we miss you. We hope to see you soon. But again, we're happy to have Krista here. And Mai really focused on a lot of places in Jersey City. But the Elysian Cafe is a place here in Hoboken, located at 1001 Washington Street. And so, anytime we start one of these reviews or talking about a specific restaurant, I always like to talk about the location. And the Elysian is probably in one of the most bustling areas in Hoboken, we'll say. Not only because it's on Washington Street, but of all the with the foot traffic, but it's also 1 block away from Elysian Park, not the path, folks.
Great views.
And great views. I mean, would you agree about the location?
Yeah. So I actually lived downtown Hoboken for the past 3 years. I was on Washington, so there's a lot going on down there, but I was a little nervous to move uptown because it's totally different vibes, but it is still bustling. I'm actually Elysian's new neighbor.
Wow. So you're on 10th in Washington.
Yes.
Don't go stalking folks.
Don't go stalking me. But yeah, so I was really excited to check it out more. I'd only been there once before I moved uptown just 2 months ago. I just kind of got stuck downtown. I mean, there's a lot of great spots downtown. But yeah, no, this is a great spot. When it's nice outside, they have all their chairs out.
Right.
The outside is just so appealing with the green, and like I just always looked at that building. I was like, I need to go in there one day.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
actually.
and I mean when it's super nice out, like everyone's there, everyone's covering at the outside tables, and I'm like, oh geez, am I ever gonna get a seat out there? So now I live next door, basically.
So you can look from your window.
And I can
correct?
look from my window and be like, oh, there's a table, I can go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you might
so
get
it's
some
a
people
really,
downstairs being like, what the?
Yeah, no, it's a great location. It's awesome, and I'm happy to be their neighbor now.
Well, and you're also my neighbor because I'm actually 1 block away from the place too. So, woo woo for Uptown Hoboken, right?
We're gonna have like a brunch date at Elysian.
Anytime, as long as we can bring the camera crew with us here.
Of course.
So, I was looking at something interesting on their websites, and they're basically the oldest continually operated bar and restaurant in Hoboken.
Yeah.
So they opened in 1895, which is amazing.
It's wild.
And it continued through Prohibition as an ice cream parlor and a hair salon, believe it or not. So you certainly feel that way when you enter the restaurant, correct?
You do. And I am not a history person, but I actually did my research too, because the inside of the building is so old, but so beautiful. The architecture is unreal. The ceiling, I think, is like their piece that everyone,
Right.
walks out remembering. I remember the first time I went in there, since I've lived uptown, was with my dad, and we were both just in awe at the ceiling. And we were like asking the bartender all these questions about, when it was built. And yeah, it's one of the oldest operating restaurants in Hoboken.
It's
so
phenomenal.
It's really cool.
Well, why don't we get to the food menu? Because really now, this is supposed to be kind of a food review here, right or wrong.
Yes.
We like talking about ambience, we like talking about location.
Of
Because of course that's all important.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting and funny how similar and different their lunch, brunch, and dinner menu is.
It is.
Although it is very, very concise, each menu. You have a lunch menu that has your standard appetizers and some sandwiches, then some entrees. Their dinner menu seems to just have appetizers and entrees, not too many sandwiches. And then their brunch menu is kind of like a mix of everything. What stands out at you in each? Tell me.
Oh gosh. Well, my go-to menu, I would say, is their bar menu.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it goes until 11, and even for dinner, like I'll just end up ordering off the bar menu. When I went with my dad, it was after a long day of unpacking my apartment, and I just felt really gross. I didn't want to get anything too heavy, so we had this calamari salad, and I was like, I love calamari. And at first I'm like, oh, this is probably like, a fresh seafood salad. It's actually fried calamari, which is even better in my opinion.
Everything fried's better, right?
Exactly. And they did not gyp us on the calamari. It was a boatload of calamari, perfectly crisp, lemon, olives, pepperoncinis, and tomatoes over some arugula. Oh. So it's really like you get the crispness, you get the saltiness, and then you've got the freshness, and it's just.
I was going to ask you about that because usually calamari, when you put that, you want me to say it, I said it. When you put any type of dressing or any type of sauce, but in this case it would be a dressing, it usually gets moist. You're saying that it stays crispy.
It stays crispy, yeah,
That's
and
phenomenal.
it doesn't feel like you're eating fried food because everything else in there is just so fresh, and you get a little bit of spice from the peppers. And I'm not a big spicy person either, so it's a great combination because you just get a little bit of that spice.
Oh my goodness. And what did your dad have? What else?
My dad had the burger, and
Which the Elysian burger is famous.
It's really good, and to be honest with you, since that day I've only had a bite of his burger. So I still need to order the burger
You seem to
have it for
but
myself.
the fries are phenomenal.
The fries are incredible. They're nice thin fries. I've heard people describe them as McDonald's fries. So
well, I don't know if that's like a positive or a negative.
No, it's a
right?
positive for most people because McDonald's fries win in the fast food world for a lot of people.
In the fast food world.
So,
but not so
a
much
nice
in the
salty
Elysian cafe world, which is like mid to casual dining.
I'm gonna go with positive on this one. All my French fry lovers that I've brought there have been very impressed.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but
that's
the burger, I'm a burger girl, so I need to go back and get it, for myself. I've had their chicken sandwich, their chicken club.
I've had that.
Delicious.
Phenomenal. I'm not supposed to give my opinion, but I am.
You're not.
That is phenomenal.
Oh, but please.
Please, I mean.
Well, it's actually going back to the salad. So I never thought
I'd
I'd be raving about a salad because I'll eat anything and I love creamy things, meaty things. The fresh salad is never something that I would rave about. So when I posted this on my Instagram, actually, I had a lot of local Hoboken people reach out to me and say, this salad is the best salad. I will go there just for this salad. And it's just kind of crazy because who raves about salad?
Right. But also they have, apps like Mussels. I've had Mussels.
Yes, the Mussels. Yeah, I mean, they are like a French bistro, so a lot of their food is, French inspired. Something that's interesting, so Chef Travis, he actually took over as the owner.
Eugene Flynn sold, correct?
Yeah,
Eugene, we miss you, buddy. Eugene's a great guy, a good role model for the city of Hoboken as well. But go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, so Travis, I met him the first time I went in, which was great because I was like, well, now I have a connection to him and we can talk every time I come in.
That's awesome.
I've seen him every time I'm in there, and he works really hard. He's always there. And he actually told me that the banh mi sandwich is something that everyone needs to try.
What is that?
So it's kind of like it's a pork. It's got pork and pickled veggies and carrots, and it's definitely not French. So
I was gonna say
that's
it sounds
why,
more like Vietnamese.
Yeah, that's exactly what
yeah.
it is. And he said to me, he's like, yeah, it's kind of it's not typical to be on like a French bistro type of menu, but I'm telling you, it's amazing. Next time you come in, you have to get it.
That's fantastic.
So this was recent. I have not gone in there yet to order this, but just putting that out there for
you
for
folks.
everyone.
So Krista, I have to ask you. About their drink menu.
Oh.
Is there any specific drink? I know you said the bar menu's great, which, by the way, there's not many restaurants that have 4 different menus, and I was going to ask you about the bar menu.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
But their drink menu, I mean, they have of course, your traditional, old fashions
Of course,
and so on and so forth. Is there anything that sticks out at you?
I would say the whiskey drinks. I don't have a specific, and I'm not even a whiskey person. I'll never drink whiskey on the rocks, but they're really big on whiskey. They have a lot of whiskey tastings. They actually just had one this past week. It was Irish whiskey tasting, so around St. Patrick's Day. That's something cool that actually Elysian's got a lot more into,
That's
a lot
awesome.
of tastings. So I would definitely, try out their cocktail menu for sure.
That's
I usually go for wine when I'm there.
Oh, look at you, the more sophisticated drink.
Yeah,
they say.
I'm
Correct.
trying.
So their hours, folks, just so you know, their hours are 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday, Friday 12 p.m. to midnight, Saturday 10 a.m. to 12 midnight, and then Sunday 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. They're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's, because I feel like I walk to the gym, my gym's a few blocks away from there, and I feel like it's always crowded, especially in the summer with the outside seating. Do you feel like there's a good time to go in?
Oh, I honestly, every time I've gone in there, it's never been dead. So
Right.
I think it's a really
Amazing. Even at like 2 in the afternoon on a
Exactly.
Tuesday,
I mean, like,
in February.
It's been here for so long that it just has a great reputation, and
Exactly.
I think it's a great spot for families, for people who have lived here for quite some time, for first dates, even just hang out with your friends.
There you go, folks.
And on Friday and Saturday, live music.
Look at that.
Yeah, Friday
That
and
is
Saturday night.
fantastic. Just one more quick question here.
Yeah.
So the Elysian is very unique in terms of its menu and atmosphere. Can you think of any other places that's kind of similar in the Hoboken, Jersey City, Hudson County area?
I would say, just in terms of ambiance and just kind of the feel that you get when you walk in there, I would compare it to Leo's.
Like Leo's, which is more Italian, of course.
It's more Italian, so
But
it's
the
definitely
ambiance
the
type.
ambiance.
Right,
It just
right.
feels very mom and pop and comfort, and you feel good when you walk in there.
That's awesome.
It's a good space.
Well, Krista Stucchio.
Yes.
There you go. Insta handle at #foodpick. Go on there, folks. That, phenomenal.
Check me out.
Jesus. I don't eat a lot as it is, and certainly that's making me want to eat more. As Greg, my producer, is shaking his head over there. Anyway, we are out of time here on the Pulse of Peter B. We want to thank all of our insiders here. Folks, join us next week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.